Hey everybody, Gary Glass here. Happy to see you. I'm out in the road, so if I wave too much, my hand disappears. Just want to wish you all a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm continuing to read for you Napoleon Hill's The 12 Miracles of Life, and maybe we can make that visible here. I'm in the hotel room, and it's not the most pleasant of views. Well, it's not bad. Honestly, well, I shouldn't even say that. It's not bad. It's not bad. If you've ever been in what do they call it? Envoy with Marriott, it's pretty nice. Anyway, we're winding up the third chapter of this book, and it's the chapter is titled The Third Miracle of Life. And the third miracle is all about the law of growth through eternal change. So if you're not growing, you're wasting away. And that's kind of what we've seen in this chapter so far. In fact, we kind of closed off the chapter last time with we were working out one arm and we'd had the other arm just duct taped to our bodies and showing how if we did that for 30, 60, 90 days, that the one arm would be so strong and the other arm would just be as weak as a limp noodle from, I don't know, overcooked spaghetti or some sort of a noodle. Anyway, let's jump in. We've only got a couple of pages that we can continue, and it'll just finish up this chapter. So here we go, jumping in. In every form of life, atrophy and death come from idleness. The one thing nature will not tolerate is idleness. Through the necessity for struggle and the law of change, nature keeps everything throughout the universe in a constant state of flux. So everything's always moving, is what I hear. And actually, if you think about it, and we might have mentioned this the other day, even things that have passed on, things that are dead, they're still moving. If you went to the butcher store and you bought a steak and you just left it out on the counter, in some amount of time it'd just rot away, and because it's still moving. Even with a I don't know, a dog or a dead, something that's dead, it turns to dust. It eventually turns to dust because it's still moving. So here we were just calling that out. The law of nature keeps everything throughout the universe in a constant state of flux. Nothing, from the electrons and protons of matter to the suns and planets which float throughout space, is ever still for a single second. Nature's motto is keep moving or perish. There is no halfway ground, no compromise, no exceptions for any reason whatsoever. And should you doubt that nature intends for every individual to keep struggling or perish, observe what takes place with the person who makes his fortune and retires, gives up the struggle because he no longer believes it's necessary. The strongest trees are not those in heavily protected forests, but the trees which stand in open spaces where they are in constant struggle with wind and sun and all the elements of the weather. My grandfather was a wagon maker. We're talking about Hill here. In clearing his land for the production of crops, he always left a few oak trees standing in the open fields where they could be toughened up by the exposure. These he used for the quote unquote felloes needed in making wagon wheels, timber that could be bent into arc shaped segments without breaking in the process. He found that trees protected by the forest could not produce the sort of lumber he required. It was too soft and brittle because it had not been under the necessity of struggle. The selfsame reason why some people are soft and unprepared to cope with the resistance of life. Most people go through life by the line of least resistance in every circumstance where they can make a choice. They do not recognize that following the line of least resistance makes all rivers and some men crooked. Oh boy. I don't know if you've experienced that. I know I've experienced that with a couple of fellows, but I don't want to say anything more about that. From my experience with struggle, I discovered that the Creator never singles out an individual for an important service to mankind without first testing him through struggle, in proportion to the nature of the service he is to render. Thus, Through struggle, I learned to interpret the laws, purposes, and working plans of the Creator as they related to me and to mankind in general. What greater benefits could anyone desire from struggle? What greater rewards could anyone gain from any other cause? Briefly, we've reviewed only 3 of life's miracles, but these are by no means the more important of the miracles we are to inspect in our trip through nature's Wonderland Valley. Hill often talks about a lot of our trips being through Happy Valley, so it kind of amuses me to hear him talking about this nature's Wonderland Valley, which maybe is right alongside Happy Valley. I'm not certain. However, we've witnessed enough on our trip to convince us that there is good in all circumstances which touch or influence our lives, whether they be circumstances or over which we have complete control, or those over which we have no control except the control of our mental reaction to them. That little phrase right there is so important. How do we react? Do we react or do we respond? He says, no matter what happens, we have a choice where we can either react or where we have the case of we're in complete control or we have no control over the circumstance or the environment or whatever it is. However, what we do have control in that case is control of our mental reaction. And I would suggest using the word response to them. Reaction only if it's, just how do they say it? When you react to something, you don't have the time to, or you don't take the time, you just have that knee-jerk reaction, as compared to you stop, you think, you respond, you make a much better decision. So as we proceed on our trip through the chapters to follow, our minds should unfold until we recognize that circumstances which we may regard as unpleasant may be a part of the Creator's overall plan in connection with human destiny on this earth. The major purpose of this chapter is to broaden the mind so it may encompass and envision important facts of life outside of those which immediately concern the individual. Peace of mind is not possible without this capacity for panoramic vision of the entire picture and purpose of life. We must recognize that our individual incarnation, through which we are tossed into this material world without ceremony and without our consent, was for a purpose above and beyond our individual pleasures and desires. Once we understand this broader purpose of life, we come reconciled to the experience of struggle we must undergo while passing this way, and we accept them as circumstances of opportunity through which we may prepare ourselves for still higher and better planes of existence than the one that we are on right now. And that closes the chapter, with the exception of a quick little quote out of Think and Grow Rich. Oh man, and this is such a good quote. Poverty needs no plan. It needs no one to aid it. You don't need to do a thing to go broke, because poverty is bold and ruthless. So true, so true. And if you're just lollygagging through life, if you're just drifting through life, you're not making your own plan, how can you be anything other than poor in health, in wealth, in relationships, in so many areas? And so this quote from Think and Grow Rich, so good. Poverty needs no plan. It needs no one to aid it, because it is bold and ruthless. Anyway, that'll do it for today. Again, we've been working with Napoleon Hill's The 12 Miracles of Life. I highly suggest you get a copy. I'll put I will put the link, the Amazon link, in the chat, and that'll be that for today. All right, everybody. God bless you. God bless me. God bless us, everyone. It's wonderful to see you. Have a great, great day. Bye-bye now.